Hi there everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about hidden gems, modern hidden gems. And it's not just going to be me talking about them. I have invited 12 of my closest YouTube friends to come on over and talk about what modern hidden gem they love. And we're talking like real modern here. We're talking games that have only come out within the last year or two. So super modern, but really undiscovered hidden gems. And we're going to be kicking it off with some Square Enix titles that went under the radar, starting with BacklogBattle Alex and the Voice of Cards Trilogy.
What's up everyone? Alex here, and I'm here to talk about the Voice of Cards series. This is an underrated, underappreciated series that many of you have probably just pushed aside, but let me tell you that this is actually one of the best turn-based RPGs that have been released over the past few years. Now, I will admit that this is very much experimental because it actually abandons a lot of what you'd think games with cards would have, like for example the gameplay from Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering. It really does play like a traditional turn-based JRPG. And what's more is that these games were actually held by Yoko Taro, who you might know as the guy responsible for Nier Automata and the Nier series. This is one of those things that he's been up to since then. And not only that, there's also this incredible soundtrack by Keiichi Okabe, who has collaborated with Yoko Taro in many of the Nier games. And this is probably one of the best soundtracks he's ever composed, alongside others of course. And I know that there's 3 games, but all 3 of them are related and you can play them in any order you want. So what are you waiting for? Go check them out, and get ready for some feels.
Thank you so much, Alex. I've got to say, of that trilogy, the one thing that really stands out in my mind is that super hot fisherman. Like, oh my god, that was ridiculous. Now, with a gem that I absolutely love, here is femtrooper to talk about Harvestella.
Hey everybody, it's femtrooper, and thank you David for having me on. I'm really excited to talk about my modern day hidden gem RPG, and that would be Harvestella. Harvestella isn't maybe the most hidden gem of hidden gems, but I feel like it went under the radar for many people. And why? Because people thought it was a farming game, and it's really not. Yes, this game has farming elements, and I say that with a face because I absolutely hate farming in games. It's really not my thing. I'm sorry, I just don't like it. I don't like farming or Sims or any of that stuff, but I love JRPGs, and this game is like 90% an amazing JRPG and 10% farming. And honestly, the farming's not so bad. It's alright. This is an action JRPG, super fun, great combat, and a gorgeous world to explore. It has a world map. It's just beautiful. The music is haunting. It's eerie. It's everything. This game is so much fun. I love it. I was absolutely blown away when I played it. It was not what I thought it would be in the slightest. On the outside, Harvestella looks like, you know, your average medieval kind of setting JRPG, but do not be fooled because there is more than meets the eye to this one. It is really bizarre and has so many interesting sci-fi twists that I won't say because it's super fun and I want you to experience it for yourself. So please, try Harvestella. It's really good. I know you'll like it. It's really cool. And again, do not be freaked out about the farming because as the person who really doesn't like farming stuff, I know you'll like it. And if you do like farming stuff, huge bonus for you. Thanks again, David, for having me on. Really exciting. Can't wait to see everybody else's picks.
Man, everybody thought that game was going to be like a farming sim, you know, but I'm telling y'all, it's not. It is like Secret of Mana. It is so good. And now for a strategy RPG by Square Enix, here's the Gaming Shelf to talk about the Diofield Chronicle.
What's going on, everyone? This is Taylor from The Gaming Shelf, and thanks, David, for having me come on to talk about a hidden gem JRPG that I love to shout from the mountaintops any opportunity I get, and that is the Diofield Chronicle. This is easily one of my favorite hidden gems of the last few years, and let me tell you why. I mean, first of all, it was one of those million games that Square Enix released in the fall of 2022 that no one played, but it's actually really cool. It's a real-time strategy RPG where you're constantly pausing the action to reposition your troops and perform abilities. The thing that I liked about it is that that battles really never lasted more than 5 to 10 minutes, but I think that's what made it so compelling. All you have to do is look at the battlefield, come up with your strategy, execute it, and then move on to the next battle. It just felt so satisfying. And when you're outside of battles, there's a variety of other activities to take part in back at your base, like upgrading your equipment, taking on side quests, and talking with your team. And my favorite character to talk with, and easily one of my favorite new characters in the last maybe 10 years in all of gaming, is Waltequin. The thing that I love about her is that when you first meet her, she comes across as this sort of helpless princess character, but then makes a total 180 turn and just loves invoking chaos. She was just so much fun to watch. In fact, they even released a free expansion with new story content just for her. Now, I'll admit that it's not amazing, but it's worth playing through, especially because it's free. Now, I get it, you look at this game and it looks really weird, but if you haven't already, definitely give it a chance. Thanks again, David, for having me on to talk about this game, and I hope to see you all over on my channel, The Gaming Shelf.
Oh my god, y'all. Waltequin, such a bitch! I love watching a good bitch. If y'all haven't played that game, you need to. And here's Joesephyr to talk about another Square Enix strategy RPG, Tactics Ogre.
Hello there everyone, my name is Joesephyr, and my hidden gem RPG of the last year or so, and it's difficult because there's a lot of them, has got to be Tactics Ogre Reborn. Now, it sounds a bit strange to call Tactics Ogre Reborn a hidden gem, given the fame of its younger sibling, Final Fantasy Tactics, and it being a Square Enix title, but whenever I spoke to people about this game, a lot of people didn't know about it, and I'm here to tell you it's a game that you should absolutely play if you like tactical RPGs. It's kind of the origin point for all tactical RPGs, having originally been released on the SNES, but Tactics Ogre Reborn, having released at the end of last year, is a complete revamp of its gameplay mechanics, its HD visuals have been revamped, and it's just a really good story grounded in a lot of reality, which is my favourite kind of RPG. Yasumi Matsuno, who also wrote the stories for some of my favourite RPGs of all time, namely the aforementioned Final Fantasy Tactics and Vagrant story, also wrote the story for this, and given its origin, it's clear to see that Matsuno has known what he's doing when it comes to writing for a very long time. There's so much room for customization with this game, with all the characters that you can create. There's so much scope for replayability, given the way that you can re-explore chapters of the story once you've finished the game. And quite honestly, if we ever do get a Final Fantasy Tactics remaster, I hope it's as well done as this one is.
I think I've played Tactics Ogre like 5 times. I swear, I've played like every single iteration of that, back from the SNES to the PlayStation to the PSP, now the PS4. I've played it a million times. And now, here's HDHaZmY. He is a man after my own heart. I discovered him whenever he was making some videos about Dragon Warrior monsters, and here he's going to be talking about Dragon Quest X.
Hello there everyone, let me introduce you to Dragon Quest X. But wait a second, isn't Dragon Quest X a more than 10 years old game? That isn't new at all, Haz. Well, you got me there, but considering Dragon Quest X was never released in the West, it is certainly a game that slipped under most JRPG fans' radar, but thanks to many hardworking fans' efforts, Dragon Quest X is now fully playable, with high-quality fan translation and intelligent trained AI translation from the beginning to the very end. With a little bit of tinkering, now everyone is able to experience this MMO masterpiece that truly stands out even in today's market, with its unique approach to allowing players to solo play with a mercenary system that even Final Fantasy XIV is only trying to establish nowadays, and then enjoy everything that Dragon Quest X has to offer, from its epic storylines to the engaging and hardcore turn-based combat improved from Final Fantasy XI that puts even single-player JRPGs to shame. By now there is a large thriving English community for Dragon Quest X, and you won't even feel awkward having to play on a Japanese server, as there are tons of people to play together and share all the fun with. The Dragon Quest X Clarity project is a product of many years of polishing the English version of the game, and I can safely say Dragon Quest X now is in a state that absolutely anyone can enjoy, and the wait for bringing this title to the West is over, as it's no longer really necessary to wait for an official release. Look up the DQ Clarity project through the Dragon Quest X Abbey website and join the adventure today.
Yeah, the game itself isn't modern, but the translation is definitely modern. Now we have a really new RPG, pretty recent, Disgaea 7, and here's AvalancheJared to talk about it.
Hey, what's up guys? I'm Jared from AvalancheReviews, and on a recent trip in Akihabara, I came across a copy of Disgaea 7, which sort of reminded me how much I love and kind of forgot about that series. The first entry on PS2, aside from being really good, holds the prestigious title of having my longest playtime on the console at just about 200 hours, and the second one zapped a similar amount of my life away despite me still very much fuming over NIS nerfing the ninja so he'd stop getting into counterattack fights and lowered his evade so he could actually be hit with healing spells. And if that little window into the series hasn't already clued you in, Disgaea likes to do things very differently from how you're used to, but we'll get into that in a second. In a general sense, all of these titles take place in or around a place called Demon World, an entire galaxy filled to the brim with people looking like this. And furries. One of its biggest strengths is that Disgaea has never, and probably will never, take itself seriously. Jokes are flying out of these anime cutouts' mouths at mock speed, and you know the crazy part? They're actually really good. I mean, granted, you are gonna already have to have at least a bit of a taste for lame anime humor for some of it, but there's a lot more than just that, and I will admit it is very high quality lame anime humor. I really mean it when I say you could strike comedy gold a near infinite amount of times just by searching through item descriptions. As a matter of fact, me and my wife kind of both agree that the writing here often rivals what's in the main plot. But as far as gameplay goes, I'm happy to say things are just as weird. There are no turns in the traditional sense. There's the enemy phase and the player phase. During the latter, you go through your squad in really any order you want and set up their moves, but each action gets essentially queued. Then you can go through and execute those queued actions whenever you see fit. If you wanted to, you could plan out an intricate Rube Goldberg machine with bad guys falling out of one attack and into the AoE of another, or you could just simply execute each one individually. Both has their uses, and each one is going to have a context where it's going to be best. I know most of you are already going to get into some kind of a stat-heavy RPG, but let me warn you, in a Disgaea title, stats basically make up 75% of the text you're going to see on screen. You can level your characters in regular fights, but the smart play is to enter the dungeons that exist inside your own items to both power up those items and gain exceedingly high levels. And that's not even touching on how you have to put some things to a vote, and if they don't go your way, you can bribe or just fight the people voting against you, which I think is democracy perfected. And look, I'm not exaggerating when I say that there are more mechanics and systems here than I could list in a 30-minute video, so instead I'll just say this. Go and play Disgaea, and I guess really you don't have to worry about whether or not you'll like it. Believe me, if you made it through any portion of this little section and weren't immediately turned off by it, you're golden. You're gonna love it, I promise.
Another recent RPG, and the only Western RPG on this list, Diablo 4 and JRPGLife is here to discuss it.
Hey everyone, my name is Dan.
I'm Elisa.
And this is our JRPGLife.
Are you a fan of retro RPGs like Secret of Mana?
Or maybe classic action RPGs like the Yeast series or the Tales series?
Or modern RPGs like Trinity Trigger?
Well, our hidden JRPG gem is kind of hidden in plain sight, and it's Diablo 4. Now, I know what y'all are saying.
That's not a hidden gem. Everybody knows about Diablo.
It's true. But there's a fine line between those who know about it and those who actually play it. So I think a lot of people feel like Diablo is for hardcore Diablo fans. Well, we used to think that too, until we played it.
Diablo 4 is a couch co-op RPG that isn't just for Diablo fans.
Not anymore. It's actually a very simple game that anybody can jump into without knowing anything about the series and play it pretty easily.
You can change the difficulty on the fly. It's not like a Souls game.
So you can actually create your own character classes. There's a lot to choose from, but you can create ones like my Shadow-focused Necromancer.
Or my Shadow-focused Rogue.
And then they work together and synergize with their Shadow-focused abilities. It's kind of awesome. There are customizable abilities.
Mob fights against demonic beings.
Boss encounters against things like Tomb Lords.
And the most fun part, rare loot drops.
That's actually one of the most fun parts, is finding out what cool loot you just got from that thing you killed.
I know this sounds weird, but this is our cozy, chill game. I know it's dark and demonic and hellacious, but it's kind of relaxing.
Absolutely. Diablo 4 is about a fight against a matriarch demon named Lilith, and that's about all you need to know.
It's very dark and gory, so steer clear if you're not into that.
Couch co-op RPGs are what we're all about because the couple that plays together stays together. Go give Diablo 4 a shot.
I've really only played like the very first Diablo. I got it back on the PlayStation way back in high school. I think I would rent it from like Video Wonderland or something, and me and my friend John would play it, and we had a really good time with that. Maybe I should look into the Diablo series and see if that would be a bunch of fun. Here's another game that I didn't have a whole lot of fun with, though. Eternights. let's hear it from Just the Gems.
Hey friends, it's Brandon from Just the Gems. Thanks so much to David for having me on to talk about a really special game that I don't want to slip under the radar. Eternights is an action RPG from developer Studio Sai, which, believe it or not, is basically just one person. That's crazy, right? If I were to try and make a video game on my own, I'd just end up on a loop watching YouTube videos and eating junk food, so I've got a lot of respect for the guy who managed to pull this off in a world full of distractions. Eternights mixes action RPG gameplay with Persona-esque social linky dating mechanics to create the sort of video game experience I love. One where the gameplay and the story and the characters all work together to make the game even better than the sum of its parts. Most of the people in the world have been zombified due to a new anti-aging drug. Your main character gets his arm cut off by a crazy lady with a scythe, but he quickly gets a new, powerful, glowy arm from some woman in a boat who he met on a dating app. It's weird. As you make your way through the world, meeting romanceable survivors, you catch glimpses of the bigger story running in the background. A story about gods and heroes and other unknowable things that neither you nor your main character can really wrap your head around. This is such a fantastic storytelling style because it really puts you in the main character's shoes as you both are trying to understand what it is you're being put through. What keeps things grounded, though, are your interactions with your party members. The social link aspects are excellent. The voice acting is all very well done, and each of your party members has a super unique personality, and they all just feel very real. Hanging out with them, playing mini games, and getting to know them, it adds a ton to the experience. Gameplay is fast-paced and skill-based. I'll admit, in the first hour or so, I honestly thought I might give up. I definitely saw a few too many game over screens in that first 60 minutes. Timing dodges and blocks and follow-up attacks was so tough for me at first, but around that hour mark, somehow it finally clicked for me, and what followed was the best action RPG experience I've had in years. If you check out Eternights, give it some time. Learn the systems, let it grow on you. If you're anything like me, once you get it, you won't be able to put it down.
Okay, I gotta say, I don't think that Eternights is a gem, but hey, everybody has their own opinions, it is what it is. But here's MissBubbles to talk about a definite gem, the Atelier Marie Remake.
Hello, it's MissBubbles, and I'm really excited to be talking about my pick for a modern day hidden gem JRPG, which is hands down Atelier Marie Remake. This one captured my heart, and I had such a fun time playing it, and it's perfect for those of you who want to play a JRPG in bite-sized sessions. But it's also still really good if you do like longer games in the terms of there's a lot of replayability value and lots of endings to explore. Basically, you're trying to help Mary redeem herself and pass her last 5 years at the Royal Academy of Magic, because let's just say that her grades are really bad and she has been epically failing as a student. Now, the fun part about this game is that it adds in an unlimited mode, so if you're like me and you hate dealing with timed quests, this will be perfect, and like other Atelier games, you will be going on an adventure with your friends and exploring new biomes, gathering resources, completing side quests along with the main quest, and synthesizing different items to use in battle. Now, the side missions for the characters that you meet are fun and quirky. They can shift between either being really silly and funny, or being more serious and heartbreaking, which makes getting to know the characters worth your time. The music is whimsical, the art style, especially on the Switch OLED, looked really beautiful, the colors did pop, but there is a weird blur around Mary when you're trying to play, which can be a little bit annoying to some of you. I really enjoyed my time playing Atelier Marie Remake, and I think it's definitely worth your while. Thank you, David, for having me, and I hope to see you on my channel. Until next time, stay bubbly.
Thank you so much, MissBubbles. And here is overleveledgames to talk about an indie RPG, Eastward.
Thank you so much, David, for having me on the channel. My name is Gavin from overleveledgames, and today I'm talking about Eastward. I think the highest thing that I can say about this game is that it's one of the most charming video games I've ever played in my entire life. This is probably one of the first games in a long time where all I saw was just the initial trailer, knew nothing about the game, and I was immediately sold on the game. And what I played in the game is exactly what the trailer promised me. Absolutely breathtaking pixel artwork. Some of the most emotionally effective music that I've listened to in a long time from a video game. And of course, a story that's going to take you on an excellent adventure, meeting plenty of interesting and fun characters along the way. One of the game's biggest strong suits is its presentation. Talking about its story for a little bit, you have John, your main silent protagonist, and he has this adopted daughter named Sam who he finds inside of the caves at the very beginning of the game, and you get this sense of paternal and daughterly love in this game, and I think that that is probably probably one of the stronger aspects as far as the storytelling goes. The overall journey that these characters go on, I think is really, really well told, and I think that it's worth seeing through the end. If you're a fan of games like A Link to the Past or other top-down Legend of Zelda games, this game is going to play a lot like that, all the way down to finding new heart containers for your characters. And since it is an RPG, you can level up things like your weapons and increase your stats in your characters. Dungeon exploration is also a really great highlight of this game, giving you plenty of chances to solve puzzles and find hidden items. Eastward wears its influences on its sleeve. Games like Earthbound, Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, and even games like The Last of Us, they all have their DNA imprinted in one way or another in this game, and like I said, there is just so much to love about the charm that this game has. Despite some of the dragging dialogue here and there and some scenes that maybe feel like they go on a bit too long, I think that there is a ton of fun to be had in this game, and the ending makes it all worth it in my opinion. So if you haven't checked out Eastward, play Eastward.
Thank you so much. I met Gavin over at overleveledgames whenever he asked me to come onto his channel to talk about Final Fantasy Legend, and I had such a blast collaborating with him. I had to invite him over here to join my collaboration. And just a side note, he's absolutely adorable, isn't he? I think he is. Just saying, a little bit embarrassed right there. Anyway, here's another indie RPG's Chained Echoes, and here's Hellfire to talk about it.
Hey guys, HellFireRPGs here. Thanks for having me on board, David. When I think about modern hidden gems, there is one title that instantly jumps out at me. I'm talking about Chained Echoes, which was released in late 2022. Despite its critical acclaim, far too often do I come across people who haven't given it a go yet. It also didn't receive a single nomination at the Game Awards, which is absolutely baffling. If you're one of the people who haven't given this gem a go yet, then hopefully I'm about to change your mind. Chained Echoes is a German-developed RPG that's inspired by all of the games we loved in the past, including Xenogears, Chrono Trigger, Suikoden, and Final Fantasy VI, and these inspirations are clear in both the game's mechanics and story beats. The game features some of the most gorgeous pixel graphics I've ever seen, with the soundtrack made up of countless bangers. It is the outstanding story and deep memorable cast of characters that will keep you playing from start to finish. There are some moments in this game that, you know what, just play it and find out for yourself. The greatness does not stop at the story and presentation. One of my favourite things about Chained Echoes is the unique turn-based combat that centres around the overdrive gauge. You'll need to use certain ability types at the right time to keep the gauge in the ideal spot, else you'll be at a disadvantage. This creates the perfect mix of risk and reward and goes down as one of my favourite turn-based mechanics of all time. But when you're not deeply engrossed in the epic story or kicking ass and taking names in combat, you'll probably be exploring the expansive world, finding the plethora of secrets within, destroying things in your mech, or building up your headquarters Suikoden style. Talking about how amazing this game is for only 2 minutes is not nearly enough time, but hopefully you'll get the idea that Chained Echoes is incredible in every single way. If this gem has eluded you, then do yourself a favour and play it now.
Thank you so much. I loved Chained Echoes. I think it was fantastic. One of the best indie RPGs I have ever played in my entire life. And now, last but not least, is Emily over at Orbalology to talk about the only game on this entire list that I have not yet played. The only one that I had never even heard of till she brought it up. So this is definitely a hidden gem. Take it away, Emily.
Hi, this is Emily from Orbalology, and a hidden gem RPG that's come out in recent years that I don't think enough people talk about is Anno Mutationian. This futuristic cyberpunk indie RPG came out last year, and I think it just has the coolest vibe. The pixel art style is absolutely gorgeous, and there's just so much personality wrapped up in this package, and I love walking around the little city areas. And the devs really created such a rich atmosphere that is just so full of life. I always appreciate futuristic setting RPGs, and I like how they kind of tackled this one with all the different upgrades you could have on your weaponry or your skill sets. And I really loved how they tackled this beat-em up style in this 2.5D space. The action combat just felt so smooth, and they also added a lot of other elements like parrying, blocking, and dodging that I think really paired well together, especially with the different skill sets you can upgrade to create more of a strategic beat-em-up style gameplay. There's a lot packed in here, and I really appreciated the lighter humor parts that help balance the darker story elements that can get a little twisted at times. I personally don't think there are nearly enough RPGs that take place in a futuristic cyberpunk setting, and Anno Mutationian I think does a good job at filling that void while paying homage to the many greats like Ghost in the Shell, Blade Runner, Akira, and many more. So I think it's definitely a hidden gem to check out if you're also seeking a similar genre experience.
Well, thank you all so much for coming on over to my channel and talking about these wonderful modern hidden gem RPGs. And if y'all don't know about these channels, if y'all aren't subscribed to them, please do check the links below and go check out their channels and subscribe, because they do all make some great content, and I do highly recommend all of them. I hope that all of y'all have enjoyed this video. I certainly had a fantastic time putting it together and talking to all my friends about all these great RPGs. What hidden gems would you recommend that have come out very recently? Let me know in the comments. And as always, have a good day.